To class. Today we are going to take a look at overcoming the tip of the tongue phenomenon, which simply means you know what to say, but you do not find the right words to express it. You know what to say, but you cannot recall it. So let's get right into it. Apologies for my voice. I'm battling Carter over here, so my voice may sound may not really sound clear. Excuse me. So, introduction. You're welcome back to my YouTube channel. And as I said earlier, today we are going to dive into an interesting topic, which many of us have experienced at some point of our life, even high. So, the tip of the tongue phenomenon is what we'll be taking a look at today. And at times when you're speaking and you cannot just find the right words to say them. You're not alone. Let us explore what this phenomenon, what this thing is all about. So, what is TOT? The tip of the tongue for it. That is its terminal, the technical term for it, and it refers to the experience of knowing a word or term, but struggling to retrieve it from the memory. It simply means you know a word, you are familiar with the word to an extent, but you just have issues recalling the word when you're having a conversation. It is characterized by partial recall and the feeling that the word is at the verge of being remembered. Yeah, you can feel it. Oh, I can remember this word. I can recall this word. I know this word, but you can't just say it. It is somewhere here, somewhere there, but you're finding it so hard to, say it, to use the word. This is called a tip of the tongue phenomena, and it is also known as TOT, which occurs when you know the word or information you want to express, but you struggle to retrieve it from your memory. You struggle to retrieve it from your memory and you struggle to articulate it properly. You struggle to say it. It is like having a word or a name right there. You know you have it. You know you are familiar with this thing, this word, this name, but you find it hard to just say it. It's at the tip of your tongue, but you can't grasp it. You're finding it hard to place your finger on it and use the word. Well, the frustration of having a clear idea in your mind, but struggling to find a word, the right words to express that idea is a common challenge in communication. It happens to almost everyone. Whether it's in your everyday conversations, your presentations, or your written correspondence, at times you have this gap between your thoughts and your words, which hinders your effective communication. You have the gap. You have your thoughts, you have the words. You can articulate your thoughts, but you find it so hard to make use of the right words when you're communicating. And this can hinder effective communication. People experiencing this phenomenon often have a sense of frustration and mild anguish as they search for a word, followed by a sense of relief when it finally comes to mind. Yes, I have this thing has happened to me before, and I'm sure you listening, you would have encountered it in the past, especially if you're someone who is really invested in improving or making use of vocabulary. It happens. So when you experience this is how it happens. You want to remember the word, but you can't, and you're frustrated. It comes with this feeling of frustration as you search for the words. Oh, I remember. There's this word I want to say. There's something I want to say. Nah, I want to say this. Oh gosh, I cannot remember the word. These kind of situations You have it in mind, you know what you want to say, but you cannot find the right words to say it. You keep on searching for there's this particular word I want to use, but you cannot remember it. But the moment you remember it, it comes with this sense of relief. So that is what we call the TOT. And why does it happen? Why do we pass through this? There are a few reasons for this phenomenon, and the first reason is memory retrieval issues. Our brains are incredible organs, but sometimes they can have a temporary glitch. They can have a temporary memory glitch. When we try to recall a word or a piece of information, the brain just goes through a complex process for searching that word. In fact, sometimes it happens to words you've been using so well. At times I even find it hard to spell some words. I'll just look at myself and say, but I know these words. So that is just it. You find it's normal to an extent. It's our brain undergoing a temporary glitch. Even us, even humans, we undergo this kind of glitch. Humans, as we are, we undergo this kind of glitch. So it's just our brain trying to recall a word or a piece of information, and it goes through a tough process or complex process of searching and assessing the relevant memory. Every word you say is stored in your memory, your cognitive faculty. So everything you say is stored over there. It's like your phone, your device, your iPhone, your Android. You have different storage. You've stored pictures, you've stored videos, you stored a lot of things on that phone. Now imagine that you've stored a picture like a year ago, and you're trying to recall that picture. You're trying to look for that picture. You have to go through a very complex process of looking for that picture. So compare that analogy to this that I'm saying. TOT happens when you're trying to search for something you've learned before, something you've stored over time, and you're finding it hard to recall. In this case of TOT, this process hits a roadblock, and we experience difficulty in retrieving this specific word or name. It happens to names too. When you want to recall the name of someone, it happens as well. When you cannot recall the name of someone, you can liken it to TOT. Another factor for causing TOT, another factor that makes TOT happen is difficulty in accessing specific words or name due to the structure of our memory. As I said earlier, our memory is just like our devices. We have different things stored therein. So when our memory is organized in a network of interconnected concepts and associations, and when you try to recall something specific, the brain immediately tries to start looking for related concepts and tries to narrow it down the search to whatever you are looking for. As I'm speaking, my brain is working. Excuse me. As I'm speaking, my brain is working, and it is trying to just connect the dots. Yeah. As you speak, your brain is working. It's trying to connect the dots, make sure everything you're saying is coming out as you want it. So for this TOT, sometimes the network gets tangled up. It's just like using MTN, Glow, Wi-Fi, Airtel, etc., and you try to access the internet, and you can't. It is just glitched up. You can't access it. Yes, compare that to what we're trying to say, TOT. Your network, the network of your brain just gets tangled up, leading to frustrating experience at the tip of the tongue phenomenon. You don't just know how to go over that. Moving on, another reason it can happen is interference from related words. Sometimes you learn a lot of words. You learn related words. When you learn one word, you learn so many other related words to that word. So this kind of related words can interfere with the recall of the target word that you're looking for. This related words known as blockers comes to mind quickly, but they are incorrect. When you I want to learn this word. I want to remember this word. And the person saying danger, and dangerous comes to your mind. No, 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 it's not dangerous. I don't, dangerous is not the word. Yeah, yeah, I remember now. It's hazardous. Now, dangerous and hazardous are related. But in the context of your discussion, maybe hazardous is the correct word you want to use. But even if you say dangerous, it is not wrong. But hazardous is your word. What am I trying to say? The fact that you said dangerous doesn't mean it is wrong, but that dangerous is what we call blockers. This kind of words that come to your mind when you're trying to remember your target word. In this case, hazardous is my target word, but I said dangerous first, meaning dangerous is a blocker. It is not wrong, but it's a blocker. When this happens, it inhibits, that is, it prevents the retrieval of the correct word. This blocking hypothesis, or let me just say this blocking theory, suggests that the presence of blocker can actually trigger the tongue state, the tip of the tongue state. When you come across, when you're trying to say something and different other related words are coming to your mind and they're not the correct word, this phenomenon or this particular state can cause the tip of the tongue to happen. Another is incomplete activation. Another explanation is the incomplete activation, which suggests that the target word in memory is not sufficiently activated to be recalled. Before you can recall a word, it has to be sufficiently activated. I told you that our brain is just like interconnections of different networks. So before you can recall, you have to conceive it in your mind that, okay, fine, I want to remember something immediately. It's just fast. It is very fast. It doesn't even happen in seconds. Everything I've been saying, I've been connecting. Yeah, I've been speaking, I've been connecting the dots. Everything happens. Look at it, speed. Pa, pa, pa. Fast, fast, fast. So it may not be, if you want to try to reason it from your standpoint, maybe you want to reason that, okay, fine, what Samantha is saying, let me just do it. No, it happens, you can't even gauge the time. So when you want to activate a word and your brain is not fully activating it, you can sense. How do you know this is happening? You can sense the presence of that word. I know this word. That is why we say most time, I know this word. I want to say something, I can't remember. Yeah, that is what is happening at that moment. You're undergoing incomplete activation. And factors such as context, the context of your discussion, can actually fluctuate the accessibility of that your target word, leading to the tip of the tongue experience. Moving on, what are the common triggers or situations? What I have said it the other time, everything I said the other time, just to let you understand that these things happen. Just as it says, why does it happen? Why? Those are the why. Now, what can cause it to happen? The first one is why it happens. Now, what can cause it to happen? The triggers. The first is stress. When you're stressed, when you're feeling fatigued, you have mental exhaustion. It can lead to a slow process when you're trying to recall words. It can affect your cognitive activities, which includes your memory retrieval. It can contribute to difficulties in you remembering the words you want to use. So when you're stressed, stress can cause it. Word familiarity can also cause it. I mentioned an example earlier. I wanted to use a word. The word is hazardous, but dangerous in mind. Because hazardous is the same, is related to dangerous, makes me to say dangerous. But the word I wanted to use is hazardous. So in this case, encountering unfamiliar or rarely used words or name can also trigger a tip of the tongue phenomena, in the sense that you are using, I've been using, let's say I've been using dangerous for a while, and I just learned hazardous. Because I've been associated, because I've been so familiar with dangerous, I would easily use dangerous in place of hazardous. A new word, it is advised that you try as much as possible to intentionally measure that word. If not, you find it. Our brain is wired that way. Our brain will help you to recall. It is like trying to find something in a cluttered it takes a bit more effort to get a hold of it. It takes a lot of effort for you to locate what you're looking for. Now, the next one, tip of this phenomena is likely to occur with less familiar or infrequently used words. I mentioned it earlier. When you don't use your new words frequently, you would undergo tip of the tongue phenomena. There's no way you cannot escape it. There's no way you. Please, when you learn a new words, don't just learn it for learning sake and disappear. No, of it consciously in your discussions or your conversations. This is when encountering a word that is not part of one's everyday's vocabulary, the tip of the tongue state may be more common. Yeah, when you don't use a word all the time, when you don't, I'm not saying you should start using the word every day. No, what I'm saying is that maybe you can use it like once in a day. When you're having a conversation, you're just chipping the word to sound, to boggle your listeners. So yeah, the next is what can also cause it. The common triggers. We are moving on to aging. Yeah, as you get older, older adults actually encounter this phenomenon more frequently. Older people, maybe from the age of, let's say, 50, 40, 70, no. Yeah, they most likely experience this phenomenon more than younger adults. From people from age 39 to 0, or let's just say 39 to maybe 15, may not frequently experience this. It may happen, but it will not be frequent. Lastly, distractions or lack of focus. When you're having a conversation and you're distracted, the things happening, you're distracted by your thoughts. It can contribute to your will be in that. It's just like coming, it's just like you're working and you focus what you're doing. Your brain is doing like 5 things at the same time. It will find it hard to divide the attention. Yeah. But when you're just focused on one thing, it will be easier for your brain to process it. I'm trying to rush this now. That TOT is happening. I really took my time for this particular video to come up with the slides. I took my time for this video because I know that a lot of us are experiencing this. As you're watching, do not forget to subscribe if you haven't. Do not forget to share this. Please share the link, copy the link from the YouTube page and share it on that we need to tackle. So please share this. I would really appreciate it if you can share this video. So how do you know TOT is happening? The tip of the tongue phenomenon can manifest various signs and symptoms, and this can be both frustrating and puzzling. And here are a few signs to look out for. How do you know that, okay, fine, this thing is happening to me? You're frustrated. That is one of the most evident symptoms. The primary symptom is that you're just frustrated. I want to look at this. I cannot remember this one. You're just frustrated. This can lead to annoyance and irritation. The words are just out of reach and you're frustrated. It's just like everything is not working together at that moment. It's like you have a temporary barrier in your mind that is disturbing and retrieval of the information. It's like you're having a block between your brain and your mouth, your brain and your mouth. Yeah, you're having a block between your thoughts and your words that you want to use to communicate your thoughts. You use words. Now, in this case, your thoughts and your words are fighting. No, they are not in synchronization. They're not even working together. That is a mental blockage. You have difficulty recalling information. When you are having difficulty recalling information, just know that TOT is happening. When you have a mental blockage, just know that TOT is happening. And when you're just frustrated, you don't you can't find the right words to use, just know that you are having TOT. You are frustrated, the information cannot be grasped. You can't even verbalize it, you can't say it. You have the vivid image in your mind. You have the general sense, okay, this is what I want to say, but the exact word or names you want to use is just out of reach. Yes, this is TOT. TOT is happening. As well, increased mental effort. You're putting in more effort to remember. You're just trying to exert more effort. Oh, I want to remember this thing. You're searching, you're trying to concentrate, you're just finding it hard to remember this. So when you're using when your mental effort is heightened, just know that you're having this thing called TOT. TOT is happening. Partial retrieval. You can remember maybe just a few words. This word I want to say starts with M, it ends with E. Oh my God, what is the word? You remember a part of it, but you really cannot recall the word in full. You are undergoing the phenomenon called TOT. And in essence, it's important to know that this experience is normal. Yeah, I need to put this out. This experience is normal, especially for humans. It's a normal part of our human memory and language processing. However, every time you cannot have a conversation without it happening. In a day it can happen like 5, 10. No, you need to go for a checkup, a medical checkup, to know what's really up. So drum roll to the main point for today. Drum rolls to why we are here. How can you overcome this tip of the tongue phenomenon? How can you get rid of this gut feeling that you feel when you're trying to communicate and you not go over it? So the tip of the tongue phenomenon, as I've been saying, also known as TOT, when you know a word or a name but you cannot recall it. That is I don't even want to imagine it at the moment. So here are strategies that can help you to overcome this. Thank God, hopefully, and fortunately for us, we have these strategies to use to overcome this phenomenon. The first strategy is to understand and recognize the challenge. Understand and recognize that, oh, this is happening. This is a challenge, and I need to tackle it. This is something happening which I really need to tackle. Understand and recognize the challenge, and it is essential for you to understand that this challenge, I'm using it as a noun. It's supposed to be stressed in the first syllable, and I'm trying to stress it. That is why I'm repeating it. So that's aside. So it is essential for you to understand the underlying reasons behind the TOT phenomenon. Why is it happening to you? When you know at that moment that you're passing through it, it helps to relax yourself. Some people do not recognize that this thing is happening. When you just want to remember a word and you cannot, just know that, oh, TOT is here. TOT is happening. So you understand it is happening, and you understand that it is not basically your fault. It is just your brain trying to recall that word. It's a cognitive glitch that happens when your brain knows that it possesses the information you're looking for, the specific word you're seeking, but it struggles to access and retrieve it. Our brain is just like a retriever. It's like storage. You store, you retrieve. You store something, you come back to take it. So when you store something, it's taking it. Now you want to take it. It's now your brain is now struggling to get it for you. Recognize that is what is happening. It should ease the process. It is akin to having mental traffic congestion. Yes, that is the word. It is akin. You can relate it to having the mental traffic congestion where the pathway to the word seems blocked momentarily. If you've been in the Lagos traffic congestion, you should be able to relate to this. Lagos, Nigeria. Oh my God. The traffic congestion can be daunting. Nah, it can be daunting. So it is just like having congestion. You understand, when you understand the struggle is a normal part of communication, it's like the first step. You have to understand, okay, fine. People, it's as if like, oh, I am not brilliant. Oh, I am this. Oh, I need to do. They become too hard on themselves. No, do not be too hard on yourself. You don't have to be too hard on yourself. It is just a normal part of communication. So when you understand the struggle, this normal part of communication, it will pave way for you. It's just like the first step. That's just the first step. So when many people experience these moments when their thoughts seems trapped, their thoughts seem trapped behind a barrier, it makes it difficult for people, for us to articulate them as intended. But when you acknowledge this challenge, okay, fine, this thing is happening. What is the cause? My brain is trying to look for the word. So it helps you to reduce anxiety and pave way for effective solutions. Moving on, you have to relax and stay calm. Stay calm, relax, do not panic. When you panic and get anxious about not being able to recall the word, you make it even harder for you to remember. You make it hard. You make it hard. You won't remember. So please take a deep breath, relax, and stay calm. This will help your brain to focus and improve your chances of retrieving the word. Because when you not relax, when you are anxious, your brain will start processing the anxiety instead of processing the word. So it will make it hard for your brain to get a hold of that word. So relax and stay calm. Use contextual clues. That's another strategy. Use contextual clues. Pay attention to the context in which a word or name is used. When you're having a conversation, for every conversation we have, there are contexts behind them. Your context can be formal, it can be informal, it can be, what your conversation is basically about. Is it about education? The way you use a word when it has to do with education is different from the way you use a word when it has to do with medical terms. For example, let's say you're talking about jeopardy. Jeopardy. You want to jeopardize your educational career. Now, when you're talking about jeopardy in education, you can talk about jeopardy as maybe someone is not taking his his studies seriously. And for medically or for medical terms, or when it comes to medical setting or context, you might talk about jeopardy in the sense that you're jeopardizing the life of the patient. Can you see that these words are used in different contexts? For education, you use jeopardy that someone is not taking his education seriously, and that can lead to a bad future. Yeah, it can lead to a bad effect on the person's career. While in the medical context or medically, you're talking about jeopardy. Maybe a doctor is jeopardizing the life of a patient. So you can see, consider the context of words or names. Think about the related information, such as our brain is very fast. When you start thinking, when you start doing this, your brain will adapt. That's just it. Such as the first letter, the associated words, or any visual or auditory cues that can help your memory. And when you're using contextual clues, it helps you to activate a network of related words and increase the chances of recalling that target word. That is just it. When you do this, it will help you to increase the chances of recalling the target word. Sometimes the surrounding words, topic, or environment can provide valuable cues, trigger your memory retrieval. The surrounding words, the words that you've been, or let's just say the surrounding context, the words you'll be using so far when you're having a conversation can also provide valuable cues that can trigger memory retrieval. You can also recall that the broader conversation or the events leading up to the moment may also hold clue to the words or information you're seeking. the conversation in its entirety can lead to key. Because just like I did the example I gave recently, you can recall that you can use Jeopardy in different contexts depending on what the conversation is all about. That is the key. Wow. So moving on, strategy 4, you can practice circumlocution. You can practice circumlocution. In this sense, if you can't recall the exact word, try talking around it. You know, you can just, yeah, you use this when you're having a conversation. Maybe you're having a conversation, a formal setting. You're looking for that word, but you don't want to make it so obvious so that the people listening to you would not think this person is lost. You won't make it so evident. Let's say you're having a public speaking engagement, you're making a speech, a presentation, and as well, if you notice, I've been using circumlocution for in this conversation. I've been trying. There are sometimes I would lose my words. I would just try to explain what it means, and by explaining immediately, I would remember the word. So please, when you're in a formal setting, you're a business owner, you're pitching yourself, you're just in a formal setting. In informal setting, you can, maybe you're talking to your friends and all, you can do as you like. No, I really don't advise this, but at least you can just, it's around the people, they wouldn't mostly judge you. But when it has to do with something important, formal settings, you have to, you can try talking around it, describe the word or name. You don't say, yeah, the word I want to know. Instead of saying, you don't have to announce to people that you're finding it difficult to use the word. Just describe the word, name, using other words to provide details about its characteristics. And when you do this, it will help you to activate your brain network of and increase the likelihood of getting your target word popping up. Let's say I'm having a conversation and I'm finding it hard to talk about leadership. The word I want to use is leadership, but I do not know. I'm finding it hard to get a hold of that word. Okay. Now, let's. I can just say, in life, at times you get to lead people. That lead has given me a cue already. At times in life, we get to lead people. We get to bring people together. We we tend to lead people together to achieve a common aim, and in the process we discover that we are not just doing this for ourselves, a common cause, and we are taking people, we're taking an organization forward. You are moving the organization forward. We are in the forefront while they are us following is another pointer word. So we call this concept leadership. You can just describe what I did just now. I assume that I'm in a conversation and I don't know the word leadership. So when you do things like this, it will most likely recalling that word. Another strategy is to pause and relax. When you feel the tip of the tongue sensation, please take a pause and relax. I'm not saying you should just stop. No, it can pause and allow this next person to talk, listener to talk, because communication is not static. It can, you as a speaker can become the listener. The listener can also become a speaker. It's interrelated. So you can pause. But if it were to be a formal setting, maybe you're making a presentation, you can stylishly ask a question at that moment. You can ask a question, maybe a rhetorical question, make your audience to think. You can ask a question or make or tell a joke, come up with a joke at that moment. When you do that, you have given your audience a kind of assignment. They start to think, and you have that time to pause and relax. That is just it. This is not something you would do 1 minute. No, it takes a lot of skills. It takes a lot of wisdom. The moment you know that, oh, fine, I'm looking for this word, you can stylishly. I'm not saying you have to cut it immediately. No, there's a way you would stylishly say it. Ask them a question, tell a joke, or tell a story and tell them to think about the story and give a feedback or give feedback. Feed you back. the feedback doesn't take A or D. So you tell them to feed you back, because maybe you are stressed or you are so you can just take a deep breath as they are thinking and allow yourself to this is how you begin to respond to its non state, which may help you to recall the word. Moving on to the last association, that is the next what you're trying to remember. You can quickly create a mental image or associate something familiar to you. Yeah, association. The power of visualization and association can enhance your memory recall. Let's say you're trying to remember a name, picture the person's face, or imagine them in a okay. Let's say you're trying to remember a name. You can picture the person's face or imagine them in a specific situation. You can just try to picture. When you picture, coming up with similar words that can sound familiar. We relate to the phonological aspect. Come up with words that are familiar or have familiar meaning to the word you're trying to recall. When you do this, you stimulate the retrieval of the target word. It will help you to quickly retrieve it at that moment or as you progress. When you make use of, when you learn a new word, don't just use it and throw it away. Because if you throw it away, the day you will need it, you will not find it. So research suggests that the more frequently you use a word, the less likely it is to get stuck on the word. Practice using the word in conversations or writing, getting access to the phonetic structure of the word. Yeah. Yeah, so regularly using words can reduce the occurrence of the tip of the tongue movement. So the last tip is use the tip of the tongue technique. Yeah, you have to use it. You have to, it's like something bad is happening, but you are turning that bad situation to something good for you. So embrace the phenomenon yourself to remember the word immediately. Acknowledge it, as I said in the first strategy. Acknowledge, shift your focus somewhere else, or try to yeah, it has happened to me. I've done this before. When I try to use another word, I'll just say, okay, fine, I'll remember it later. Immediately I use that the other word immediately. That is just it. I think it's also happened when I was making an example, Asadios and dangerous. The moment I said dangerous, I record Asadios. So it will come back when you least expected it. Now, I want you to put it in mind that these strategies may work differently for each individual. So feel free to experiment and find what works best for you. In all, consistency and practice are key to improving your memory retrieval, and do not get discouraged. Do not get discouraged if you still experience this tip of the tongue phenomenon occasionally. Please do not get discouraged. I said it earlier that this thing happens. It's just like a normal thing in communication, but the frequency of it matters. If it's happening to you almost all the time, you may need to consider going for a checkup, or you can reach out to me on WhatsApp. Would have a conversation around it. With time and effort, you can enhance your memory skills and you can overcome these moments of temporary memory lapse. Yeah, these days I hardly encounter it, and even if I want to encounter it, it doesn't happen so often. So just know what works for you and stick with it. Finally, thank you for watching. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned. I don't think we had any fun in this video. This video was kind of serious. So I hope you learned. Do not forget to share this video to anyone, because you don't know who it can be beneficial to, because almost everyone in communication, almost every face this challenge. So please share this video, your status, share it with your friends, and yeah, you can feed me back in the comment section. For your um any share your comment section. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.